Upon re-examining the final trailer for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, I've noticed some details in it that are very fascinating. In the last video, we touched on how the events of the movie seem to be paralleling the events of the Silver Eyes, and I think this trailer reinforces those connections even further. The last trailer was full of parallels between the Silver Eyes and the movie. William Afton using an alias, a main character with possible memory loss, the abandoned pizzeria, and we even touched on the theory that Michael in the movie could be a robot, based on his parallels to Charlie. But looking at this new trailer, I think these parallels go even deeper than we first thought. Of course, the most notable example would be the reveal of William Afton in the golden Bonnie suit, which clearly hasn't become Springtrap yet, stalking our main characters around the pizzeria exactly like he does in the Silver Eyes, wearing the same pre-Springtrap golden Bonnie suit. Towards the start of the trailer, we also see a bunch of people breaking into the abandoned Freddy's, vandalizing the place, and tampering with the animatronics, before of course being chased by them and presumably killed. This one guy got Chica's cupcake on his face like an alien facehugger, and I just thought that was really funny and honestly kind of corny. But this whole thing is very similar to the Silver Eyes, with a group of people illegally breaking into an abandoned Freddy's and getting terrorized by the robots. Even a lot of the scenes with the animatronics in this trailer are reminiscent of ones from the Silver Eyes. Charlie and the group in the books are haunted directly by the souls of the dead kids, just like we see happening with Michael and the burglars in this trailer. Like this one scene where we can see a kid chasing this one burglar named Max, who also later on tries to look inside Freddy's mouth and has another encounter with a ghost kid. Now obviously Charlie's group aren't necessarily criminals, but the thing is, the overall plot is the same. And combine that with Michael being a character directly tied to the Aftons, with a little brother possibly being kidnapped by him who suffers from memory loss, who furthermore may even be related to one of the owners of Freddy's, and you've got a character who almost exactly fits the description of Charlie in the books. And don't even get me started on Mike's little sister, Abby, who seems to follow a very similar character arc to Jason from the Silver Eyes, both being the kid sisters of main characters who were dragged along to the restaurant despite that character's wishes. Now I know all of this may sound kind of ridiculous. The movie being some sort of alternate timeline parallel for the Silver Eyes? Like, come on Molten, what are you smoking? Well, last time I would have agreed. These parallels could easily be brushed off as coincidences for two stories set in the same universe. They're simply reusing themes. If it weren't for the fact that we have already seen another story in the FNAF universe retell the Silver Eyes story. Two of the most well-known FNAF theorists, MatPat and John from FuhNaff, who I'm sure need no introduction, recently came out with the theory that the events of Security Breach are paralleling the Silver Eyes and the Twisted Ones. Kids break into mall, get terrorized by animatronics, finds hidden Freddy's place underneath it, and encounters William Afton. Which, as we've been over a million times, is more or less the story of Silver Eyes. And it looks like the rest of the Security Breach story is going to parallel the rest of the Silver Eyes trilogy. As MatPat outlined in his theory, Security Breach Ruin is a story about a girl who goes looking for a boy she likes and ends up being chased by messed up versions of existing animatronic characters, and when she finds the location where she thinks the boy is, it turns out to be a trap, and then the girl is presumably killed, which MatPat pointed out is more or less the plot of Twisted Ones. And furthermore, both the Twisted Ones and Security Breach Ruin involve some sort of device that alters reality. In Security Breach Ruin, it is Vanny's mask, and in the Twisted Ones, it is the sound illusion discs that allow the animatronics to come to life. So what's to say they aren't doing the same thing with the FNAF movies, telling the Silver Eyes story from a different angle, especially considering there's going to be 3 FNAF movies, one for each book in the Silver Eyes Trilogy. And even more interestingly, the FNAF book trilogy seems to also be a parallel for the FNAF games, specifically FNAF 3, 4, Sister Location, and FNAF 6. The Silver Eyes maps onto FNAF 3, showing an abandoned Freddy's location, with the original 4 animatronics locked inside, and the birth of Springtrap. And we see the exact same thing in Silver Eyes, abandoned Freddy's location, with the original animatronics trapped inside, and the birth of Springtrap. The Twisted Ones maps onto both FNAF 4 and Sister Location, with the giant Freddy's establishment hidden underground a house, nightmarish twisted animatronics, and the confirmation that Springtrap is still alive. And what do we see in the Twisted Ones? Underground facility, underneath the main character's house, demented twisted animatronics, literally the Twisted Ones in this case, and of course, William Afton being confirmed alive at the end of the book. And then FNAF 6 undoubtedly shares some similarities with the Fourth Closet, with the death of William Afton in a fire and the main character's storyline being concluded. So then that begs the question, how will the movie end? In the Silver Eyes, Charlie has a final confrontation with William Afton in his rabbit suit for activating the spring locks inside the suit, thus creating Springtrap. And the book ends with the kids leaving the restaurant and living happily ever after, at least until the Twisted Ones. So I would guess that the FNAF movie will end in a very similar way, with Michael being the one to trip the spring locks and killing William, possibly doing in his own father, and then escaping Freddy's with his sister. Now let's talk about Vanessa again for a moment, because in this trailer we get a little more context on her role in the story. The way she talks in the movie, like saying welcome to Freddy's, and her specific knowledge of the restaurant makes me suspect that she is a security officer alongside Michael, like his co-worker, and her officer outfit does certainly reinforce this. There is also a shot in the trailer of her being strangled by William Afton, which, not saying it necessarily means anything, but does look an awful lot like this one scene from the Silver Eyes. So then the question is, why would William be attacking Vanessa? Because everything in this trailer points towards Vanessa working with William. She was doing the same thing in Security Breach, and her weirdly extensive knowledge of the history of Freddy's is suspicious. Now, a lot of this trailer is composed of other shots we've already seen from the two other trailers. So overall there wasn't that much new stuff to go over, but there are certainly still a few other Easter eggs worth mentioning. Like this one guy part of the burglar squad wearing a Midnight Motorist t-shirt, which I think is kinda cool. Or this hidden frame of Freddy in between shots. We also got these new posters for the movie of each animatronic in the ball pit, Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, Foxy, and the Cupcake, which are pretty sick. So this video is actually supposed to be out like a few weeks ago to, more coincide with the release of the new FNAF movie trailer, but I ended up losing the entire video when the file just like completely corrupted and all the assets disappeared. So I had to spend the past few days just completely reconstructing it from scratch, which was annoying to say the least, but it's back together now, so I hope you really enjoyed this theory. I think it's a pretty good one, and obviously if you made it this far, thanks for watching. So why don't you go ahead and comment, subscribe, like to boost that engagement and watch time and all that other stuff that I pretend not to care about, and goodbye. I will see you in the next video.